Because you may say, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. No, right this moment, a pretty good situation and not afraid. But we never know. Something could come up. Could be afraid of losing your job. You could be afraid of something happens to you. So just be prepared, because the fear comes in different, personas that we never know when it's going to present to us. And the book that I use for this is Living Spring, Fonte Viva. And I thought, wow, you take whole chapter, like, even though it's short, message talking all about fear. What is it? What's going on? Right? So, in order to talk about fear, we're gonna talk about the story, the parable of the talents. It's in the Bible, in the New Testament, that Jesus talked about those three guys and what they do. When they were giving money for one person, he gave a certain amount of coin, 2 and 1. So instead of me telling you, I got on YouTube. So, and I always use, let's see if this one is the kids or no version. Uh-oh. There, it's coming. And I love using the kids version. Hold on. Pause. There. Volume. I got it. So, I think that the cartoon versions are much easier and fun. When I use the movies, it's so dramatic and fear and blood, and I'm going, no, let's do this way. All right, here you go.
Before he left for his trip, he called them to watch over his money. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold. To another, he gave 2 bags.
Yahoo!
And to another, he gave 1 bag.
Woohoo!
After he did this, the master left on his journey. The man who'd received 5 bags of gold immediately put his money to work, gaining 5 more. The one with 2 bags did the same and gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 bag of gold left, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master returned to collect his money. The man who had received 5 bags of gold returned his gold first.
Master, you've entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. I've gained 5 more.
Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. Now, I will put you in charge of many things.
The man who was given 2 bags came next.
Master, you've entrusted me with 2 bags of gold, and I've gained 2 more.
Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. Now, I will put you in charge of many things.
Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came.
Master, I was afraid I'd disappoint you, so I buried your gold. Here it is back.
You wicked and lazy servant. You should have put my money in the bank so I'd at least get interest back. I'm sorry, my servant, but you were fired. We have no use for you here. As I've said before, whoever is faithful with a little will be trusted with a lot. You were not faithful with a little, so I cannot trust you anymore.
This was the parable of the bags of gold. We must all be faithful with what God has given us, because it all belongs to Him. If you do that, you will surely be blessed. And being blessed by God is the greatest it can get. The end.
All right. This story, it's so adorable with cartoon, but it what represents? It represents the master. Who's the master? God. And the time when we reincarnate, each one of us is gonna receive some gold, some coins, talents. We all have those talents. And it's up to us to do something about it, to make this bigger, right? and produce. And did you notice that for each person he gave a different amount? And that means that we all have different talents. And what we can produce. But the last one. So before I keep going, the parable of the talents emphasize on the need to use our God-given gifts. A talent unused is a talent wasted. Each one of us here have a talent. Each one of us here came incarnated in this earth to do something important. It's with your family, it's at work, it's with our community, it's with the world. And every day, God is the Master is calling us. What are you doing with the talents that I gave you? What are you doing? Oh, but I am so busy. My life is so busy that I pretty much just go to work and come back and I'm exhausted. Okay, we understand, right? But is it that hard to find a little bit of time to do something to help your brothers and sisters? What is it that we are doing with our talent? And what does it have to do with fear? It's because the last one, what did the last one do? What did he do?
Yeah, he was afraid. He had fear.
He had fear. So he was so afraid of not being able to produce, and even if he had lost the money that he had invested, at least he tried. And that's what God wants to see us doing here. Hey, at least I tried. I had good intention. But reality is nothing is lost. When you have an effort that you do something to help others or yourself too. When something happens to our lives, for example, we are sick, we lose our job, we can just sit there and do nothing about it. Oh, I'm afraid. Or you can go out there and start the first steps towards something greater and bigger that could help you too. But the fear. What does Spiritism say about fear? Is it okay to have fear? Well, depends on the fear, yes. There is that instinct fear that's very important to keep us alive. Because if we are not afraid, right? I remember my daughter was a teenager, and remember your daughter when she was a teenager too. It's like there was a moment that they go, I'm not afraid. I can do anything. And my daughter used to go at 10 o'clock. Where are you going? I'm going to hang out with my friends. You know where we live, right? I live by university. It's not a very good area there. I don't go out after 10 or 11 without somebody unless it's an emergency. Nothing is going to happen to me. And she had no fear. This is bad. Because we have that instinct fear to protect our lives. And here, right? So it says, why has God given the instinct of self-preservation to all living creatures? So that kind of fear is to preserve us. Otherwise, everybody here, half of the population would be dead. God has given them the desire to live, to carry out the designs of providence. Furthermore, life is necessary for the improvement of beings. All living beings feel it instinctively without understanding it. We just know we get to live. Right? It's very important. You wake up and you wake up one day in the morning, and I tell this to my husband, he suffers out of depression, and he wakes up and he's like, oh God, oh God. And the other day I just pinched him really hard. Oh, you were alive! I said, yes! That means we have one more day. We are alive until we could be dead, right? We could not make through the night. God called us, hey Bernadette, it's your time. But I go, oh my gosh, be grateful. You were alive. That means we have one more day. What are we going to do? Because we want to be alive, don't we? If you're sick, if somebody comes to you and say you have a disease, you have illnesses, you are afraid. You are worried, you are concerned because God gave this instinctively this force, this thing that we know that we need to be alive. You know why? Because we have a purpose. Because when we were born in this lifetime, there is that seed that God planted, the life seed within us. And in our spirit, we know deep inside that we were made for great things. And even if you sit there and you're doing nothing, there's something that shows no life. You go, there's something missing. I'm bored. Even kids are full of life. What they tell you, I'm bored. I'm bored. Because you talk about life, whew, your daughter, I remember she's full of life, right? And this energy. So, because God wants us to be alive and wants us to do great things and not to be afraid. But this kind of fear is important, the preservation fear. Another fear that we have is fear of death. But Bernadette, we study Spiritism, I know, we read the Spirit's book, right? But deep inside, I know I am. So I'm not really afraid of death. Like when it comes my time and I go, it's like I'm afraid of if my death will be painful. I'm always with that worried in my mind, you know. So that means that I'm very imperfect spirit and I have a lot to study and get better. But a lot of people here or somewhere there, they are afraid of dying, afraid of death, right? So what does the book Heaven and Hell says about it? The fear of death is at once a proof of the wisdom of providence and a consequence of the instinct of self-preservation that is common to all living creatures. So that's normal, okay? So I'm normal, it's okay if I'm a little bit afraid of death. The book is saying, it is moreover essential to the well-being of the human race, so long as men and women are insufficiently enlightened in regard to the conditions of their future lives. Next, it serves as a counterpoise to the discouragement which, if not for this fear, would too often lead them to make a voluntary renunciation of their terrestrial existence. It's so poetic, isn't it? It's like, can you just say that if it was not for that, we would just not care about life and we would die? I get that. And to shirk the labors of this lower sphere which are necessary to their advancement. In other words, if we were not afraid of death, we would voluntarily say, hey, I don't care, I'm gonna die, no problem. And if you die before your time, your advancement, you know, you'll be shortening this. And the fear of death, therefore, results from an insufficient knowledge of the future life. It also denotes aspirations for the continuance of existence and anxiety, lest the destruction of the body should be the end. Heaven and Hell, fear of death. A whole chapter only about fear of dying. But in other words, Living Springs defines that easily. In life, they fear death. In death, they fear life.
And they say that, believe it or not, we have this taboo of death. So, but to reincarnate, it is
Hard.
harder. That's the one we should be feel happy.
Yes, absolutely. We are here, we are just, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of dying. But from the books and communications, from our spirit, from the spirits, you know, many of them do not want to reincarnate. They know it's good, but it's like, no, it's what? It's painful. I have to go through all that? No, it's so good here without the physical body. So when we are in the spiritual world, many do not want to reincarnate because they are afraid of reincarnating. All when you put there your map and you see everything that I'm gonna go through, just oops, no. No, thank you. I don't want it. You know, maybe next time. No, but you need to. Right? So, what is this introduction here about fear? That's normal. Because God wants us to be alive. And what is scary is that there are people here, they are alive, they walk and they act as if they were dead. There is no life. And a lot of depression nowadays. You see this a lot in the world. Right? So let's see some examples of fear. In the 20th century, Paul Ekman identified 6 basic emotions: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. So, fear is an emotion. So, if it's an emotion, it's possible to control. And how do we control? By also understanding, right? So, what are a few things that we are afraid of? Work, a new job. We might have this anxiety, afraid of meeting new people. In my school now, a lot of teachers are moving to another school when they are like excited, but they're, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. How is this new principal? What's gonna happen? Sometimes I am at work and situations happen. I have lockdowns already shared. When that happens, I have to lock down, go under. And am I scared? Oh yeah. Why? Because my instinct of preservation. We might be afraid of new friends. Go to a new job, new neighborhood. If you come to a spiritual center for the first time, even though we are like, hi, welcome, right? We try to be, it's like, you know, it takes time. And making new friends. Talking about new friends, talk about kids going to kindergarten. This is a very funny thing. For a child, still today, I remember going to kindergarten. I remember my mom dropped me off, and it was when I taught kindergarten, the very first day or first week, we usually had 1 or 2 in the school that I used to teach assistant, because we knew that some kids would be crying, screaming, and what's worse too, the mothers screaming and crying.
I was gonna say that I was 5. She said, go home, let nobody see, go home.
Yeah, so we had to do, you know, yeah, a lot of parents cried too. So, hey, little kids are scared every week too. So, afraid of being disappointed, misunderstood, failure. This one, lose someone we love. We are so attached. That's so hard. I was like, even the animal we love, the pet we love. I can. My dog is getting older and older and older, and I know it's coming. I can tell.
Aww.
But it's like, no, it's not today, right? Not today.
She had one that she loves.
You know how? You see?
Oh,
How it's your family.
yeah.
It's your family. My dog is living in the back with me. You know, it's so painful, but we are afraid.
He's way nicer than my family.
Well, if you talk about forgiveness, you know, dogs, and there are people that are more cat lovers, but you do bad things to your dog and you get mad and then you leave for 30 minutes and come back. Forgot all about it.
Yeah.
So fast they forget about it.
You know what I heard that people that takes care of dogs, heard that people that have dogs, they are happy than people that have cats. That's what I heard in the interview, the scientific thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
I feel a lot of people, because, well, I don't want to get into this discussion because the people that are really cat lovers, really dog lovers. The bottom line is they're both pets, and for me, my personality, I need a pet that will interact with me, that will just play with me, and there are cats that are like that too. My daughter has 2 cats. There is one that you are dead, it ignores you. You don't exist. If you go, you try to pet the cat, just run. The other one you're sitting is like, sorry. It goes here, there. It's just like, leave me alone. Like, pulling this cat and we go. So now this is the one, my greatest fear. Right? Roller coaster. Dentist. Oh my God. I cannot. I'm so scared. Last time I had to do something with a dentist, they had to give me some Valium. I'm telling you, it's like my hands sweating, and it was like, it's because something happens in my body, and the anesthesia goes really fast. So I always feel the pain. After 15, 20 minutes, I feel the pain. But anyway, so can you all relate to some of those fears?
Roller coaster. Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah. Or whatever fear. We all have some kind of fear. Yeah. So I love this. Fear, F-E-A-R, has two meanings. Can you read the number one for me? Number what?
Forget everything and run.
Yes. Forget everything and run. Or
Face everything and run.
face everything and rise.
Oh, that's cute. That's nice.
Yeah. Right? The choice is yours. So, in the books and Living Spring and all the books that I'm reading, I go, what are the main fears? What is the strongest, you know? We're afraid of change.
Uga, uga.
Oh, no thanks, we are too busy. You see the wheel there is much better. But still we insist at being exactly the same way. And I keep giving examples, of course, on my school we have new teachers and older teachers. And then when we come with new curriculum, new ways of teaching, the older teachers don't want the wheel. I've been teaching like this for 20 years and it's working. Yes, but it can be a little bit better. And that is struggle. New things, new change, new principle, what are the new things in your life? A lot of things. Did you notice we just go to the same thing for a while and then God says like this, it's like, Bernadette's stuck. Let me just put a little salt and pepper there. She needs a little thing to change. And then something comes and happens. It could be a job. It could be illnesses. It could be something about my family. It could be, yeah, and not only something negative. It could be something very inspiring and positive. I could get a call and say, hey, Bernadette, can you fly here to Florida? This friend needs you. Go, whoa. And then it reminds me of my purpose. So embrace the changes. And the first step is, instead of having fear, it's okay that a little bit. It's okay. Surrender. The best thing you can do, surrender to the changes. When the changes come, something change in your life, surrender. Okay, it is here. And I'm going to have to do the best I can to deal with it. That doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect and joyful. It could. Yeah. The fear, what it does, it freezes us. Now the what? Of the unknown. We do not fear the unknown. We fear what we think we know about the unknown. And 80% of the time, we think of horrible things of the unknown. We don't think much positive. Oh, I don't know, I keep saying about a job, but I'm gonna get a job. And start having fear, oh no, what's gonna happen? Oh, my boss is gonna be mean. And it's just like negative, and you walk there and people look at you, oh, I knew that lady here is not nice, she's not gonna be nice to me. So we create these monsters about things that probably is not gonna happen, are not gonna happen. And then we are afraid. And the third greatest fear is dealing with pain. But pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Whatever happens, the challenges in our lives that make us feel pain it's here. But how I'm gonna act and react will change the way I deal with this. That's the beauty of spiritism. Because open up our eyes to all the challenges in life. And it's not that easy, not because you became a spiritist and you started studying spiritist philosophy that everything is handy dandy and perfect and sweet. No, we just tough it up a little bit because we understand the purpose of pain and suffering, but we pray and move our feet. We take action. It's not sitting here, poor me, poor me. It's like, hey, do something about it. Even the talents, that parable, it was just one. And he chose. Could he have invested and get not double, but 5? Absolutely. It doesn't mean because God gives you 1, you're going to double it. You could triple. God gave you the power, the mind, the support to keep going. It's our choice. But that one in the story specifically decided to be there. So let's understand a little bit more about fear. Fear is an emotion and is connected with our thoughts. And we have a distorted truth. Things that are not really real. Right? Oh, I can never do this. I'm afraid of my job because I can never do anything right. No, distorted thoughts. Of course, if you look in the past, you have done so many things successfully. What is too much? But if I break in small parts, I can still do it. So be careful with what we say to ourselves, putting us down. Thoughts can be controlled by us, therefore we can control our fear. But we can't conquer fear overnight. It takes time, perseverance, and actions. Best action to overcome fear is facing and doing what gives you fear. Keep in mind the law of preservation, right? Like if you are afraid of jumping off a cliff, don't try that. But what is it that is stopping you from doing things that you love? What is it stopping you for reaching out to your dreams, helping? What about in a relationship? It's a very common relationship, so I'm afraid he's gonna leave me. I'm afraid she's gonna leave me. I'm afraid I'm gonna be alone, so I'm gonna put up with a relationship that's not healthy. Just because I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid to stay in this job that I hate. Because I'm afraid I can never, the word never. I'll never get a job in a place. I'm afraid. So, what is it that is stopping you? And then start working on it a little bit. Like with my students, when they are afraid, they're always afraid of tests. Okay, I'm too, me too, I used to be. So you need to face it. So what are we gonna do? Every Friday, I'm gonna give you a quiz with 3 questions, so get used to. Right? One thing about, I'm gonna tell you a story about being a spiritist. My mom was a medium. I don't know if I tell the story, but my mom was not a spiritist. She was like candomblé, all those things, you know. So since I was little at my home, my mom used to do these communications, like a medium. We were there watching TV, suddenly she goes. And then I look at my mom was talking to me, and I know who she was. So I was 9, 10 years old, alone in a house with my mom. You know what I used to do? Raised a Catholic, which I do respect, and I'm so grateful for being raised Catholic because I learned so much about the Bible. My mom was screaming, doing things I wasn't doing, and I had the picture of Nossa Senhora Aparecida, right? And it was like praying, because I was afraid. I was scared. A little kid, and sometimes I saw her doing, she was a medium completely out of control. Because nobody taught her the importance of studying and controlling. So I grew up from 9 years old until 15, 16, seeing this every day. After sometimes she was having a problem there, she fainted, and I would just go, "Who are you?" I should say, "Who's there?" Because I knew it wasn't my mom. And there were days that she just gave me all this conversation about history, but it's not good to do this in your house. Things that I only learned as much older when I started studying Spiritism, which was in my 25. So what it did to me, the fear. When I went to the Spiritist Federation, and I studied there for 5 years, I studied everything but the medium's book. I go, I don't want to know. But you believe, I believe, it's there, but I don't want to deal with it. No. And I didn't want to deal. And for me, it was all about the gospel. And I read every single book but the medium's book. And I didn't want to deal with it. Because I went through a trauma. Until I come here, and after giving all these lectures, traveling, teaching kids, and then Anisa came to me and said, "It's time." I go, "No, not me." "No, you don't need me." "No, Bernadette, how can you teach about Spiritism, and it's about also the communication with the spirits, if you don't study about it?" So I don't need to study about it. I don't need to talk about the medium's book. I'm okay with Jesus.
That's the scientific part of the spiritism, mediumship.
Mediumship, but what it was, and then he said, "No, all I want you to come here, and we're gonna together read the book together." And he knew all my fear. And for 2 years, he met with me, and we studied the medium's book. In my 30s.
Did you overcome fear?
Yes. Well, God knows if I keep going the story as much, because one day I was there and I was talking to him, and then I started having some things happening to me, and then it was, okay, I'm scared. No, I'm out. I'm not doing this again. Every time I felt something, it took me a long time to overcome my fear. I'm not afraid anymore, but I'm 50 years old. See? I was afraid of the unknown. So there are little things that happen in our childhood that we are acting in a certain way and we don't know why. Why are you acting that way? Well, I don't know, did your mom lock you in a closet? Did something happen? That comes the trauma. Right? So understand the fear. After a while, new patterns of thinking and images will be replaced in our minds and slowly overcome our fears. Now, is fear bad? Look at the positive view of fear. When you are afraid of something like me, is a call to make us stop and think. So if we're so afraid of something, it's a call for our soul to grow and change. There is something. If we're really afraid of something, scared, there is an issue. So embrace, be brave, and figure out what it is, and work on it. Because this fear at times may be stopping us to do wonderful things in the world. Or I don't want to deal with it. Oh, I don't want to go to the Spiritist Center and help because I don't get along with Ronnie. I don't want to deal with it. Right? For reflection. And also the things we fear will not happen. Okay? So Spiritism. I'm telling you, I could not deal with everything that's going on in my life now or in the past if I had not studied the Spiritist philosophy. No. It's like I understand now. Right? It's just amazing. It gives us, suddenly you become courageous. You go, okay, it's gonna hurt. Right? It's like roller coaster. If you're gonna, I didn't used to be scared of roller coaster when I was younger, right? I know it's coming, but I didn't quit. I was there. Okay, hold my head. with Spiritism. It's coming, Bernadette. Be prepared. A big bump. You're gonna go through, you're gonna scream, hold your friend's hand, but guess what? It's gonna be over. And you're gonna be okay. That's one thing we need to learn. You are gonna be okay. You are safe. You are loved. You are okay. Everything's gonna be alright. We may not feel it when we are afraid. So brace yourself, hold your friends, and we are never alone. So what does this beautiful philosophy does to us? Give us answers to overcome our fears and give us comfort. It teaches us about mortal spirits, only the flesh dies, so then the fear of death, it changes, and I invite you to read the Spirits book that really explains about death and what happens after death. And it's such a great book. Understand the importance of life trials, reincarnation, that we reincarnate, so therefore we don't need to be too attached to material things, afraid of losing a car, afraid of losing your house, afraid of all those materials. So we're gonna die, and we cannot bring that with us. Prepare the present for future reincarnations. We are gonna be perfect. You are. We're gonna get there, right? But if you look now, we are way better than our past reincarnations, 100 reincarnations. And we are preparing now for our future. So you want a better future? Start preparing now. Now guess what? Who's gonna be in the future? Us. We're gonna be back here. Hopefully. So, I wonder when I come back, this world to be better, please. So am I being a little bit selfish? Maybe am I thinking about me? Yes. So I want a better future. Yes. I want to, when I come back 100 years from now, if that happens. So, hey, I'm going to do something right now. Start doing more charity, being an example. So when I come back, the world is a little bit better, right? It's the law of progress, law of cause and effect, and that we are not alone. So life is important, do not waste time. These are some of the teachings of this philosophy that helps us so much. So when we study this, right? We read, we understand, and put into practice, many of our fears disappear because we understand. Right? So, Spiritism is the set of answers you've been looking for and more. So, are you preaching? No. That's why I don't call doctrine. I don't like calling Spiritism doctrine. Mainly in the United States. If you say the word doctrine, Americans don't see it like in. For me, it's a philosophy. It's a way of life. My husband says the Spiritism, it's a movement. I like this definition. Yeah, because you guys are always learning. It's that thing, it's a movement, and it's you are discussing, you are studying, you're looking at yourself. He says not static. It's you are moving. I feel that the Spiritism is this movement that is moving people to get better. And it was the best definition for a guy that doesn't know much about it. And I go, I like that. Good. So when the friends ask him, what's your wife's philosophy or Christian? What is she? She goes, she said this is a spiritual movement called Spiritism. And we just love it. Hey, it's his definition. But it's me. For me, it's a way of life. It's a philosophy. But this philosophy shows a lot of science and helps me to connect with God. It's everything. But each one of you has your own history, your own path. This was my story. This is how it worked for me. And now I'm not as scared or as afraid as I used to in a lot of parts of my life. So now I have another video here. Can we turn the light off?
Yep.
Are you going to still be able to?
Yeah. I'm gonna try this.
Okay, I think it's good. I love this. It's on YouTube.
Fear is an integral part of life. It's a natural reaction to be afraid of something that we believe to be dangerous. In specific situations, it keeps us from harm, right? We don't put our hand near a flame for fear of being burned, and that's a good thing. That's its biological intent. It's part of the reason our species was able to evolve and flourish. But just as it helps us, it can be our biggest obstacle. It becomes easy to see everything as that flame that will burn our hand. We fence ourselves in, we create a comfort zone, because a comfort zone is safe. And because of this, we miss out on some of life's greatest opportunities. Most things worth having live outside of our comfort zone, on the other side of fear. Everyone deals with being afraid. It's who we are. The difference lies in how we handle it. Quoting Peter McWilliams, he says that fear is a part of life. Whether we're bravely overcoming obstacles or hiding away scared, we all still face fear. What it comes down to is the decision to attack that fear and grow, or to run from it and suffer. To allow fear to limit the life you lead day in and day out. It's been said that a coward dies 1,000 times. A brave man dies but once. It's funny because you start to hear these things so much that they come across as cliche, right? Fear is the great barrier. How many times have we heard that? But when was the last time you woke up and did something about it? Made an effort to do exactly what you're afraid of. Put yourself on the front line. Put yourself out there. These are the experiences that shape our character, where we prove to ourselves that, hey, maybe it's not so bad. Realistically, the worst that could happen is that you don't meet expectations, is that you fall on your face. In which case, you pick up your pride, you look yourself in the mirror, and you get ready for round two. Because round two means you come back more prepared, knowing what to expect. That's why it's been said that even if you fall on your face, at least you're moving forward. Eventually you'll adapt. This new challenge will become part of you. It becomes okay. It becomes comfortable. And look, just like that, you've expanded your comfort zone. Now you can move on to the next chapter. So remember, the people you admire, the people who have done great things, lit the path for us. It's not that they weren't afraid, it's that they used their fear as a tool for growth, not a crutch. It's part of the reason we have such awe and fascination with the great minds of history. Imagine Neil Armstrong looking back one last time before stepping into the spacecraft that would take human beings to the moon for the first time. Jackie Robinson suiting up for his first game with the Dodgers. The American colonists signing the Declaration of Independence. We don't think about it often, but just imagine if these people gave into the fear they must have felt overcoming these obstacles. What would we have? How different would life be? So my ask of you is that you find a way. You find a way to get to the other side of fear, because that's where dreams become reality. It's where your world can change if you just allow it to.
here, you were talking. Oh, you're like, I hear that a lot. Oh, you're so good when you talk. It's always, because the first day speaking in English, I was sweating. And Isu had to see, he goes, you're gonna do it? I go, nope, I'm not gonna do it, you're gonna do it. Okay, he sat next to me, and I was just dripping. Because speaking in front of people in English, another language, and guess what? We stay in our comfort zone. And I'm sorry if I'm gonna be personal here. A lot of Brazilians that they have great ideas, they are good speakers, but they go, oh no, it's in English, I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, I don't wanna do it. Can we just do it in Portuguese? And we need meetings in Portuguese. We do need. I'm not saying that we should not do it. But like, oh, I don't want to study a little bit in English. Well, what if you go out there at work and somebody's going through a lot of problems and is afraid of death, and you have to speak English and let the person know about reincarnation, and they go, oh no, I don't want it. You have the opportunity. You never know. But we need to face and practice. I've been practicing this for a long time to be comfortable, and it was hard. And there are days that I still shake. My first 5 minutes, you think that, oh, I'm here because look, I know you guys. But when I have to travel to a symposium, and I have to be in front of hundreds of people and get a microphone and start talking, my first 10 minutes, oh my God. I'm like, but I'm there, and then it goes. I think this, my mentor helps, right? Let's face our fears.
Okay, who's gonna speak next week?
Yeah, that's true, right? And no, but this is serious. If you want, and whenever, and it's not throwing you there. It's like with support. We get together, okay? Let's practice this. I started doing this in the other center on Sundays, and I said we need to start on Sundays. And nobody know when to do, no, it's too much. I gotta go, okay, I'm gonna be there every Sunday by myself. So I was there, and I start every Sunday giving a lecture, like this. No, I call this lecture talk. And then we had other volunteers. Suddenly I go, you can do it. Oh, I'm afraid. Okay, let's do the PowerPoint together. Okay, how can I support you? And I already have 2 volunteers because I don't want to do every Sunday. I want people. I want to please go. Please volunteer. Now I have 2 more. Then okay, now I need 1 more. So, but this is what we do in power. And that's why I love so much about the Spiritual Center. But still there's a little bit of fear in us. So what is it and how we can help? Anyways, last one. Look at Living Spring 132. That's what I got all this from Living Spring. It says, can we read together? Ready? Okay. No excuses. So, if you haven't received a hard task in the world, do not be afraid. Make it your way of progress and renewal. No matter how dark the road to which circumstances have led you, enrich it with the light of your effort at doing the good, because being afraid was not an acceptable excuse in settling accounts between servant and master. Because they're quoting here the parable of the talent. When they say, oh, I'm afraid, there was not an excuse. So being afraid is not an excuse. We just deal with it the best we can. Last one, let's read together. You can make excuses or you can make it happen.
Exactly.
So whatever it is this week, make it happen.
Do it.
Right? Let's do it. Right? So now we're gonna move on to, I'm just gonna close this, to our classes. God, I'm gonna do longer, but I'm gonna do just a quick prayer. The music, that's good. So now we're just gonna do a very short preparation to receive our blessings. And let's start with our breathing. Breathing in and out slow. One more time. In and exhale. Third time. Inhale. Exhale. At this moment, let's just relax and put on hold any thoughts that might be in our minds as we listen to this beautiful music, this beautiful melody. As we imagine right now a bright light that comes from above and going through, start from our head, our crown chakra, and just going down our body, neck, shoulders, hips, legs. So imagine this in a circle, doing this 3 more times, going back, and every time you feel more peaceful. If there is any part of your body that you're feeling sore, tense, ill, as you breathe in, imagine this beautiful light on that part of your body, healing. And you feel warm and peaceful. We are so blessed. We're being here this evening, being connected with God, the Creator. That right now, it's touching us, healing us, giving you the strength, the courage to face our fears. So right now, let's continue having this peace of mind and body and soul, elevating our thoughts to the Creator and to our greatest teacher of all, Jesus Christ. And as we feel calm and peaceful, we then are ready to start the process of this healing.
Please, sweep it a little bit down. That's it.
we share here. Help us that some of the words and the messages stay with us during the week. As we face our fears, knowing that with God everything is possible. Help us to have faith in us and trust you, knowing that you are holding our hands in all moments. We came here to be your disciple, to help others, to grow in love and in knowledge. So help us. We ask our spiritual guides to inspire us and be with us throughout the week as we move forward towards our progress. We ask you, dear Creator, to bless the center, this neighborhood, the city, state, country, planet, with your love, bringing peace to everybody's heart. And also, at this moment, send your love to all the ones that were not able to be here this evening, and to our homes. As we imagine this beautiful light going through the front door, reaching every room, every corner, everyone that might be in our home today. So at this moment we feel, so when we return, we feel your light surrounding us. So we want to say thank you. And thank you for our spiritual friends that were here this evening to learn with us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. So
minha filha foi muito bacana. Foi muito forte, pesou a cara.
É sério?
Ela se contou sozinha. Só botou outra. Mas homem assim. Homem internacional.
Eu pensei na semana dela, já meio que sabe, tipo, já se deu conta. E aí a outra segunda-feira,
Você
e aí eu também tava devendo de levar meu sushi, que ela tinha pedido horas, eu peguei e levei meu sushi. Então tá, tô tentando meio que me dividir com ela, porque antes eu...
explicação. Então, a Cláudia,
Eu botava lá fora, sabe?
E aí, beleza? Como é que tá? Tudo bem?
Crescendo. Tudo bem, agora tô melhorando.
Ah, é, essa é a pior parte.
É, tá passando essa parte.
É bom você ver hoje também.
Ela tá vindo nos quartos.
Eu tô vindo nos quartos. Sábado eu tava vindo também, mas aí esse final de semana não deu.
Eu preciso vir mais em quarto, mas eu vou muito aí a eu saio no horário, assim, mas aí eu vou chegar aqui em cima agora, vou levar pra mim. Tipo, vai chegar bem, sabe? Eu não quero. Eu tô tentando, ver se eu consigo agilizar pra sair. Eu gosto de gente.
Nath, você mandou pra você?
Eu também naquilo.
Muito bom.
Eu gostava do seu, eu gosto de vir no sábado.
Eu não posso ir.
Elas falaram pra mim, não mulher, daí eles olham,
Só na
criam,
série deputada. Que dela pode dormir com
os adolescentes.
Tem todo mundo ótimo.
Bem contente,
férias, não tem
bonitinho.
3 meses.
Por isso que eu tô agora vai dar
Sim.
Aí eu vou relaxar, eu vou ficar tão stop do horário, e aí vou largar de novo fazer as paradas.
Sim, a gente também tem essas férias no meio do ano, né? A gente pode morar 30 anos aqui que não se acostuma, né? Essas férias no meio do ano, mas enfim.
Então, beleza.
Pode fazer.
A gente se vê.
Tchau, tchau.
E eu vou indo também. Que
Rio de Janeiro, eu vou criar, tipo,
E você sabe que aqui tem mulher, né? Em inglês. Eu acho que tá sempre traduzido no tchau.
Você já...
Deixa eu perguntar, essa semana.
Semana que vem, de manhã você vai fazer italianos.
Você me avisa?
Bienvenido. Tô, mas vamos fazer de conta que tá tudo bem. Não fia, não fia.
Tem fear? Não, fear quando vem, vem. A gente dá pro fear.
Eu tenho que vir de manhã. Qualquer horário vai ser
Vou colocar lá no banco. Graças a Deus.
O que é?
Você vai ter que ir, né?
de manhã, de tarde, de noite.
Trabalho.
Sim, já tá. Eu trabalho de família.